What's up, guys? This is Casey, and welcome back to the channel. So, we do have some movement on the stimulus update talk. The Democrats and Republicans, Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, have decided to formally restart the negotiations, which is amazing. So, Mnuchin stated on Thursday, which is today, that he and Nancy Pelosi have spoken, he says, approximately 15 or 20 times in the last few days. Well, that's a heck of a start to restart the negotiations talk. Now, in addition to officially restarting negotiations, some even more positive news that we have today is the House Democrats are preparing another stimulus plan proposal to submit and get approved for not only the Democrats and the Republicans. And what they are now doing is they are now going down on their initially very large package to something that the Republicans are more likely to accept and approve. And it gets even better. Not only are they looking at lowering the amount, but I should say getting closer to the amount that the Republicans want to approve, but they are still including the stimulus checks, which is great. Now, if you guys have been following my previous videos, you know that I think the stimulus checks are great. It's going to help out tremendously, I think, for a lot of homes and families who can use that to get caught up on rent and so forth. But in addition to that, it's very good news because they're not only going to be including the checks, but they are still going to include the small business assistance. They are still going to include the unemployment assistance and just a lot of other aid and loans. Now, another big thing as well that a lot of you guys may not be aware of, and I may make a video about this, is the government currently does have a lot of incentivizing, or I should say a lot of stimulus, well, let's just call them grants because that's specifically what they are. A lot of grants that you can apply for and get approved for during this pandemic period. So a few friends of mine I know who have applied for grants, they have actually gotten approved for that, and they've gotten quite a bit of money for that. And a lot of the previous videos, some of the comments in those comment sections as well have been that people have received those as well. So that's really good news to know. So if you guys haven't already, make sure you check out the grant links, because that's very important. Now, in addition to this, I should say more details to this package. The Democrats are proposing, they are going to include obviously the stimulus checks. They're also looking at including the small business loans, and they also want to include airline aid. They said that the airlines right now are just absolutely decimated because of the pandemic and the virus. And so they want to ensure that the airline companies are able to sustain and to be able to weather the storm while this happens. So that's really good news. So in addition to that, this bill is going to include the enhanced unemployment insurance. We've already talked about the direct payments. It's going to also include the Paycheck Protection Program, which we've already kind of discussed on, and it's going to have a lot of other provisions as well. Now, to reach the price tag, Democrats are looking at chopping off approximately $1 trillion from their previous proposal, and that is huge. That shows a very big sign and a very, very big, I should say, display of seriousness from the Democrats to get something done. And let me tell you guys another little secret as well. I think that this has a lot to do with the stock market. Now, if you guys listened to my previous video, I mentioned that I think that the stock market falling is going to give Democrats and Republicans both incentive in order to get a stimulus package done, because the elections are coming up and they both want to say that they've kind of gotten credit, that they've gotten something approved to kind of help keep the stimulus, to keep the economy going with some additional stimulus money. And that's exactly what's happening. The stock market is continuing to fall, and all of a sudden the stimulus talk negotiations have just magically ramped back up again officially. Surprise, surprise. It's exactly what I told you guys was going to happen. Now, in addition to that, as you guys know, they had failed to come to an agreement on specifically what amount of aid that they want to approve. So previously, the sticking point was the local and state financial aid amounts. The Democrats wanted to provide additional assistance for the state and local governments for not only this year, but the following year. And the Republicans were not on board with that. They only wanted to provide assistance for just the end of the year. And so looks like the Democrats are looking at actually coming down on that a little bit, which is very positive news. Now, not only do we have additional information about the repackaged Democratic stimulus package, but we also have a date as well. Nancy Pelosi said that she wants a vote on the House to be ready by October 2nd. So they are looking to potentially vote on this new package in the next, what are we looking at here? 8 days, which is a week, which is great. Now, the deadline is going to be very tight as early voting is already kind of starting in many states in terms of wanting to get something done before the elections are coming up. But I do think that it's going to be very, very possible. And given the previous bipartisan sticking points, how much time is there really to agree on a new bill? Well, if you ask me personally, I think there's enough time. I really do. And the reason I think there's enough time is because it's always surprising, I find, just the negotiations, just in general with just us as human beings, that anytime that we're up against a deadline and both sides have significant incentivizing, or I should say incentivization to get something done, all of a sudden those barriers and those sticking points kind of go away. As I mentioned to you guys before, a lot of the most important deals, not only in government but in business, as always appears to come in the 12th hour, the 11th hour, and that's exactly what I think is happening here as well. But it's very, very positive news that we're finally getting some movement on this. The fact that we have the talks are officially starting up again. The fact that the Democrats have moved significantly off of their extremely large initial package by over $1 trillion, which is significant. And the fact that we have Republicans who are willing to come up as well. That's just all great news. And we also have them both agreeing on still initiating the stimulus checks. So I do anticipate we're going to get something done here. Maybe I would say my guess is it'll go to the House by the 2nd of October, and then maybe they'll look at getting it to the Senate within the next week or so. So we may be looking at probably the middle of October before we get something definitively approved and done and executed. But I do think that it's in the works and it's definitely coming. So that's all great stuff. Now, also keep in mind that the Senate, they are scheduled to break until after the elections following the current session, which ends on October 9th. So if nothing changes, that's the last day a bill before it has to clear the Senate. But that doesn't mean that it's the final day that the bill could pass. The House, for example, who was ran by the Republicans, they are prepared the Democrats, they are prepared to postpone the start of the next break. Which is originally scheduled for October 2nd until a deal is reached. So if the bill passes the Senate on or by October 9th, the House could very well pass it after that date. And if negotiators close in on a deal, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell could also compel the Senate to stay in session longer or come back earlier to vote on a proposal. So at this point, I would say that we have the ingredients. It's in the fryer and the fire is cooking, and we're just now starting to ramp everything up. So kind of stay tuned, guys. I think this is a very positive movement in terms of the direction of the stimulus talks and the stimulus negotiations, and we're just going to kind of play it by ear. So if you guys haven't already, I definitely encourage you all to subscribe to the channel. So this is a financial education channel, but as of late, it's been a lot of stimulus update videos for obvious reasons. Super important. Everyone is very anxious to kind of get some movement on this, and so I want to make sure that I'm providing you guys only content-filled videos, and not just a lot of the fluff videos that a lot of the other places online are probably providing you guys. So I only want to make sure that I'm providing you guys videos when there are actual significant changes such as that we find out today. So that's great news. And if you haven't already, please make sure you guys like the video. Make sure you also comment as well below. I want to know, what do you guys think about this new, I should say the update on the stimulus package? You guys excited about this, and are you confident that we are going to actually get something done here and have it done before the elections? So I'd say overall, I'm very excited. If anything else, this just shows that the Congress is finally coming together, and it looks as though that they have their incentive, which is to get this done before the elections. So yeah, let's just kind of play it by ear. Let's go from there. I thank you guys so much for watching the video. Subscribe to the channel and stay tuned. I will talk to you guys later. Take care.